And we are live. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Bassin Magazine podcast. Bassin Magazine, guys, Bassin Magazine is the official magazine of the Weekend Angler. With me tonight, I have, of course, Brad Yoel from Bassin Magazine and Hunter Neuville. Hunter Neuville, he was on the Let's Talk Fishing podcast back when he was a high school student. And I talked to him a few times then. He did really well as in the high school bass circuit. And now, he, of course, graduated, and he's still on the bass circuit, so we're following up with him. How are you doing tonight, Hunter?
Oh, pretty good.
So what circuits do you follow now, Hunter?
I fish the Bassmaster Open Centrals as a co-angler, and I also fish Louisiana Bass Nation as a boater.
Where is Louisiana Bass Nation going to be hitting this year?
We already had our spring qualifier on Toledo Bend, and then we have a fall qualifier in September out of Dwight Lawrence Landing in the Spillway.
Oh, yeah. Down there in the sprawling metropolis of Stevensville. I know that place well. Did you see that a couple high school anglers caught an 8.9 pounder out of, gosh, what is that? Millhome, Bayou Millhome.
Yep.
Wow,
it's
that's
one of the places you can get to from Doyrons, and that's amazing, Brad. Because every couple of years, a hurricane comes through and wipes out the whole population of bass down there.
Wow.
And for those guys to catch an 8.99, that's just a survivor.
That's a big, that's a big fish anywhere, man.
Yeah, even Toledo Bend where Hunter goes. So how was the spring qualifier, Hunter?
It was a 2-day tournament. My first day, I came out fifth. I had 18-15 with my 5. Went pretty good and left my fish at 8:30. Tried to save them for the next day. And next day, went back, grinded it out all day, and only had 12.5 the next day.
Don't ever leave fish to go find fish.
Don't leave fish to find fish. What baits were you throwing on each day?
Pretty much stuck with a chatterbait most of the time. Delta lures, vibrating jig, and then did a little bit of flipping with occasional lures bayou bug. Had a couple bites on that helped.
Are you a boat flipper or are you a net?
I like my boat flipping.
Yeah.
But sometimes
really?
you can't.
You can't flip Toledo Bend.
You know, I'm starting to learn and ask people, you know, are you a boat flipper or a netter? And, you know, sometimes people are like, oh, I like boat flipping, but, you know, I lost such and such fish. So they're getting to be more and more where it just kind of depends on where they are and what they're doing.
Right.
Man, if I got that death grip on that fish, he's not getting away.
Right.
I have seen too many fish from the guys, even perfect. Sometimes you have the perfect motion, perfect technique, and still goes this way and the bass goes that way.
Right. Yep.
That ever happened to you, Hunter?
Oh, too many times they count.
Yeah. Too many times.
Yep.
Too many times. Oh. So BioBug, was it the BioBug 2.0 or?
Yeah, the Bayou Bug 2.0.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite things to flip.
Oh, absolutely.
Too many things to man. I love that. Bayou Bug. What he's talking about, Brad, is Cajun lures, and we have a friend in common from Kaplan, Louisiana.
Okay.
One of those guys who he actually makes some really good soft plastics out of his. It used to make him out of his garage. Now he has his own little shop in his backyard. And boy, Zach also makes his own rods. He has a 1.5 or 2-year-old daughter. He golfs. He fishes. He goes to Toledo Bend. He fishes tournaments. The boy never sleeps.
Man, that's a lot with a 2-year-old.
Yeah. But you know, if you're going to be in this business, you have to have that kind of personality. You cannot sleep.
Yep.
That's why there's so dang many grouches in this business.
It's true. It's true. So what's
So-
your goals for the 2023 season? I mean, obviously everybody wants to win. I get that, but what's your personal goals and future goals?
Oh, for this year, definitely make the state team for Bass Nation, make it the regionals, then obviously make it the nationals and qualify for the elites. That would be awesome. But definitely overall goal, at least make the state team. Get
There you
something
go.
under
So
my
there's only
belt.
2 qualifying tournaments for that?
Yeah, there's 2 qualifiers for the Louisiana Bass Nation.
Okay, we have 8 people watching this now. We have a couple of comments. Cajun Rob,
All right.
of course, says what's up, Brent? And also Cajun Rob was asking if Brad, if you're ready for the classic.
Bassin Magazine doesn't attend the classic.
Remember, Bassin Magazine, Bassmaster, Bassin Magazine, Bassmaster. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. On a
Josh
side
Wilson,
note,
that's a
Bassin
very good
Magazine was
point.
asked. On a side note, Bassin Magazine was asked not to come to the classic. So
Wow.
Hey, it's great for us. I was mad. It's great. If you feel that Bassin Magazine is that much of a threat to you, what a compliment. Thank you. I'll stick around.
Hey,
So,
I'm gonna help with. I'm gonna help with
that
that.
was actually a long time ago when the classic was here in Tulsa. So
Okay.
Tulsa,
Okay.
Oklahoma, Grove, Oklahoma, Grand Lake of the Cherokees. Edwin Evers was your champion.
Edwin Evers, man, good. Wow. I believe he's with Major League Fishing now.
Yes, yep. He actually won the first Red Crest also, which is going on right now in
Yes.
Lake Norman, right, Jay?
Lake Norman, not North Dakota. I almost said North Dakota. That would have been stupid. That'd have been stupid.
That's going to tell you who's a fisherman right there. Hunter, you want to go to North Dakota right now and fish?
There are a lot of people fishing up there. They're just sitting inside of little shanties. Yeah, there are not many boats on the lakes up there right now. Not a whole lot of them. So you're going. So where did you tell me that the next qualifier is?
Stevensville out of Dwarons.
Boy, I've
Spillway.
That's your home waters, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's my backyard.
That's like an hour and a half away from where you live, and you've probably fished that 2 dozen, 3 dozen times.
Oh, more than I can count.
Are you going to fish the Spillway side, or are you going to fish the Stevensville side?
Spillway side. It's Spillway side only for this one.
Oh, Spillway side only. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Okay.
So you won't be able to go to Bayou Milhome where the 8.9 pounder was caught.
Yeah.
So where would you go if you're on the Spillway side?
Most of the time I fished a ton of tournaments out of Stevensville. I guess you could say my homeland, and the one I fish out of the most is maybe a 20-minute boat ride from there. So, I normally run back to my end and fish all the stuff I fish every weekend.
Wow. And how are you going to be targeting those fish in that time of the year?
There's a couple factors. Obviously, you got the river level. It all depends on that. But, most likely I'm going to either have a crankbait or a chatterbait or a spinnerbait. And I'm sure I'm almost positive I'm going to be doing some punching.
Punching, okay. Wow.
Yeah, September time is going to be hot. They're going to be in those sites.
It's going to be hot down here in southern Louisiana in September, yes.
So, what's the name of that again? I was just trying to look on map, trying to get an idea.
Look up Stevensville, Louisiana. Stevensville.
Okay.
Because he was talking about Doirons. That's Doirons. That's just the name of the landing. It's one of the most famous landings in that area.
Oh, that's where the kids caught the big fish?
Yeah, well, the guy was going guns, but he went on the other side. You can either go. There's a big levee right there, and you can launch on either side of it. And some tournaments allow you to fish on either side. Some tournaments
I see.
limit you to one side.
That's what kind of threw me. That's why I wanted to see it on maps, because you said you're fishing, on one side of the spillway or whatever. I just kind of wanted to look at it.
Yeah, the west side of that levee is where the actual spillway is.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna snake through all those bayous and go. Geez, you can go all the way back to New Iberia, can't you?
Oh, just about.
So
All those places.
you're on the east side or the west side?
You would be on the west side of that levee,
Yeah,
close
well,
to the Atchafalaya River.
Hold on, I'm going to show this if I can get the light to turn off on the camera. I guess it's not going to work today. There we go.
yeah, it would be that west side.
You got that flat lake?
Flat Lake, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that you either side of that, you got really a lot of water. I mean, that's kind of cool that they say, oh, we're east side or west side this time. Because, man, there's several rivers that flow into that. You got islands everywhere. Is it all grass and marshy or shallow? What's your water like?
I mean, all of it for the most part is pretty shallow. Like I said, the river level fluctuates all year round. But, I mean, around that time of year, September, you could be fishing some main channel stuff, beating the banks, or you could be way back in a little pullover canal. I mean, kind of all depends.
Huh.
So is it kind of like fishing, the Henderson, where you have to find moving water?
Yeah, a lot of times that does play a factor.
Because in the Henderson, if the water's not moving, I normally just don't.
Yeah.
I don't bother with it. The best time to target the Henderson is when it's falling, and when you can find those drains coming out of the swamp. As long as the water isn't the black water that kills everything.
Yeah, that's what a lot of times that's a huge factor.
For us inland people, is that fluctuated with tide and sea level, or is it water?
Tide does play a part depending on where you at. If you're more on the southern end, the tide definitely plays a part. But I mean, we get constant water flowing from north, draining down the Atchafalaya and then Mississippi, all of that.
What the Atchafalaya River is, it's actually a diversion of the Mississippi. They take out 30% of the Mississippi into the Atchafalaya, just north of Simmsport, Louisiana. So to alleviate floods. So they take 30% and they run it down the west side of the Mississippi, and it enters the Gulf right around Morgan City.
That's interesting.
And of course, it feeds a million different bayous too up there.
Oh yeah.
Is that pretty stained water, pretty dirty water?
Yeah, it normally is more stained and dirtier water, but I mean, you could find some black water where you could see the bottom. I mean, it all depends. There's so many different places that some have grass, some have more hard structure, different water clarities.
And you want to kind of stay away from the black water.
Cypress trees.
Yeah, tons of cypress trees, willow trees.
Oh, really? Stay away from the black water, huh?
Yeah, a lot of times that's the stagnant water it has it's devoid of oxygen, and it flows out of the swamp and it just kills everything.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You're going to find that in August and September a lot of times.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's certain times of the year that water's different and changes. So if that's dead water back then, is it good in the springtime? In the earlier?
Yeah, depending. Sometimes, like in the springtime, you'll find them back in places, like back in cuts and little pullover canals. that will have good water, but during the summertime it starts getting hot, that water loses oxygen and, like you said, turns black
Huh.
and just doesn't have the oxygen.
That's the thing about fishing and spawning bass down here. During the springtime, normally the ice melt from the north makes the spillway rise, and those bass, they might be a mile back in the swamp where you can't get near them. I mean, maybe Brad can with his kayak, but
Yeah, but do I
also
want to
there
be in a kayak?
yeah, but there
How
are a
many
lot of
alligators?
thousands, thousands.
Yeah, I don't want to be in a kayak in that.
I don't
So
know.
with all this water, how do you build confidence and go decide when you're pre-fishing what you're going to do, where you're going to go? Because there's a lot of water. There's a lot of main lake. There's a lot of creeks, channels, whatever you want to call them, bends, points. There's a lot of water. How do you decide what you're going to do?
Mainly just off of what the river is. If the river is at, say, 13 foot, I know just from experience from living here, I know what spots are good at that water level. And then say if it's around 10 foot, those same spots might not be as good anymore or may not even have water in them.
Yeah, they might be dry.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's another
Okay.
thing.
Some of these pockets, I'm still looking at this because this really just interests me with all the water that's there. Some of these
It's
pockets
almost
are, to me, I've never been there. So, can you frog fish in all these small lakes? And are they covered with vegetation? Are they? What's it? I'm just floored, I guess.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have your areas that doesn't have much grass, and you might find some areas that are full of mats of grass. Frog fishing is a huge way to catch them over there.
and sometimes you go into a lake, it's covered with water hyacinths.
Yep.
And
Oh,
what do you do? If they're too bad, I don't know. Do you usually power through those, or you go through them slowly?
Depends how it is, honestly. Sometimes you could just power through them, and sometimes you can't get through them at all.
Wow. You ever encountered those, Brad? Like the water lilies?
and all that changes. Yeah, but something
They're
like
the
that
same thing
here
in Florida.
is. Yeah, we just don't have that much grass here. We don't. There's a couple lakes that have reeds and cattails, nature's hot dogs, whatever you want to call them. But
Yeah.
there's not a lot of grass in our lakes. There's a few lakes that have it. Our lakes are navigational lakes, so if
Yes.
it rains, you got to watch out for floating trees. Truly a tree.
Yes.
Looking at the map, this is so hard to tell. If you put in at Morgan City, is that really brackish water, or how far down does it turn to brackish water and the salt water affect it, and how does the salt water affect the bass?
That changes.
Yeah.
How far up the saltwater comes, depending on how hard the Atchafalaya River is flowing,
Oh,
and also
okay.
the state of the tide. When the tide's rising, it's pushing salt water in, and when it's falling, the fresh water is pushing. So it constantly changes. But the marsh bass can actually live in slightly brackish water, and marsh bass get fat because they sit there and they eat shrimp and small crabs. And, they get fat and they turn either gold or green. Hunter can probably tell you that. They're beautiful bass.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Depending on what they're eating, I don't know what makes them turn green or what makes them turn gold, but
is a marsh bass? I'm going to Google that now. Is that a black bass or is that a
It's a
species?
largemouth bass. I just call it a marsh bass because it's in the marsh.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Oh,
the
okay,
official
okay.
name.
They're black bass.
They spawn there. They're used to the salt water, the change, and all that. And there's a shrimp. Is that what turns them that orange color?
I don't know if it's a shrimp or a crab or. You know, Hunter?
I think it's more of just a grass there. Like if you're in an area with a lot more coontail, hydrilla, that sort of stuff. I mean, like you said, they could get golden color or they'll be like super dark black color, depending on
beautiful.
where they're at.
And they're this a fish that's 16 inches long is going to be this big around.
Really? Big football.
Oh, it's. And they said, "Oh, there's something else." Yeah, I can't say that right, can I, Hunter? No, I'm going to stop that. It's a Yankee trying to speak Southern. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
The marsh bass. I mean, you target there. It's just a bass. They'll eat. You're targeting them the same way, right? You might catch one when you're pre-fishing or not.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, you don't fish them any different.
Huh. Okay.
Just a different environment they live in.
And hurricanes come through, affect them the same way.
Oh, big time.
It's sad. It's sad. So illegal. You shouldn't be allowed to kill bass like that. But
yeah, I mean, that's Mother Nature. That's
what one of my main areas I fish by the house. Ever since a hurricane 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, I grew up fishing there, caught plenty of 2-3 pounders. It hadn't been the same since.
Ida killed him.
Yep.
Ida screwed up. Yeah. In fact, that picture of me on my profile picture, that was taken on a canal off of Lake Decad. Lake Decad is right over by Houma, Louisiana. I caught him on a Missile Baits the 48. One of my favorite.
Get there and fish somehow.
You get down here, Hunter will keep out both of us.
What other species are around there that, you know, like the BASS kayak series was on Gunnerville's last week, and people caught some huge drum or sheep's head. It's the same fish wherever you are. It's different names. They all have different names, every species. But what other species are swimming around there? I mean, can you be bass fishing and catch a monster redfish?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, depending on where you are, you could catch flounder, trout, redfish. Even I've done seen a couple triggerfish bass fishing in the same spots catching bass. Yep.
I mean, I've caught redfish while I was bass fishing, and I finally think I have my 7-pounder. Then I remember where I'm at. No, this isn't a bass. No. That's amazing, Brad. When you're fishing for bass and you hook into like a 30-inch red.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Some places there are even sharks.
Well, that was a text. That was a text question. Somebody texted me and said, "Hey, are there redfish swimming around with the bass?" So I was wondering what other species were there. How far? I mean, I've heard bull sharks water. Do you even get that close to the ocean to bass fish? Or, I mean, there's a lot of water there. It's hard to just pinpoint an area and say, "Hey, I'm going to fish cypress trees" if they're everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Every place you look looks like it should hold bass. Every single place, you know. And so, yeah, that's a question for you, Hunter. What separates one spot from another when you're looking down 3 miles and it's all got fantastic cypress trees and grass and coontails? And what do you look for? What makes one spot more appealing to you than others?
Definitely the types of structure they have. Normally, like certain types of year, I kind of know what the fish are relating to more. Then obviously moving water is a huge factor. Like you're not gonna go fish a canal that's dead still when they have one that has constant flowing water. That flowing water is cooler than the other water. Then water depth is a huge factor. You can't if it's 1 foot deep, those fish aren't wanting to be in that shallow water when it's hot. But at the
Yes.
same time, sometimes they don't want to be in too deep of water. So you kind of have to find a good in between.
Yeah, in too deep of water, if there's a thermocline, there's not going to be any oxygen below the thermocline. Yes, exactly. And I don't know where the thermocline would be around here. If the water is moving, it's going to push the thermocline out. So that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Then a lot of it's, I've been fishing these waters since I was a kid, before I even could cast a pole. It's just a lot of knowledge from over the years.
So you have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
A lot of, over the course of probably 2,000 fishing trips, you've learned a few things, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So you grew up down here fishing for bass and crawfishing and
yeah, all that good stuff.
Alligator hunting.
Yeah, all that.
This map just kind of blows my mind.
Doesn't it though? First time I saw it, I'm like, I get lost. I can't deal with that. I cannot deal with that. Jeez.
That's like when we go for Bass Nation, I'm gonna be scouting for 4 days. I guarantee I won't cover 70% of that place.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Where's that gonna be?
Out of Stevensville.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
So I assume you're going to go west, and a lot of the guys are going to be going north up towards Bayou Pigeon, huh?
Yeah, a lot of people fish that area, but they have people that fish all over. Yep.
So there's so much water, you can have 250 boats and not really be crowded.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And how many people normally fish the Bass Nation, Louisiana?
For a spring qualifier, it was 70 boats. So
only 70.
So it's normally a decent sized tournament.
I was thinking 150 with just the way I know these bass fanatics down here,
Yeah.
There's a lot of bass fishermen in Louisiana. Because you get any further north of us, Brad, the bass are just enormous. But around here, they just get killed all the time, like we've been saying. And, the LDW, the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, doesn't want to stock it if, 3 years later, they're all just killed,
Right.
So, and the bass down here, they might spawn 2 or 3 times a year from what I hear. I did not know that till I came down here.
Wow.
Have you heard that, Hunter?
Oh, they'll definitely have like 2 waves of spawning fish. Like they might have a couple spawn in February and then some all the way into April.
Wow. Well, Hunter, man, we're coming up on the half-hour mark. So go ahead. Go ahead, Brad.
I just wanted to say, hey, thanks for coming on, but something that we always ask on the Bassin Magazine podcast, I didn't want to miss it with you. What's a confidence lure that you have, and why is it your confidence lure?
Just in general or around my area?
Yeah. So you're going to go to a new place. You're only going to fish 70% of that water, scouting. What are you going to throw because you have confidence in it?
Oh, definitely a search bait. Yeah, definitely like around here, like Spillway. One of the first baits I'm gonna pick up is definitely a Cajun ball spinner bait or something like a vibrating jig, a chatterbait, just a search bait. It never fails in this area.
What if you went to a completely different area, like if you had to go up to Oklahoma to fish the Bass Nation if you qualify?
I actually was in that situation at a Grand Lake for a regional. I mean, yeah.
I just threw it out there, and he's been there. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean that's a good question. I mean, just kind of get a feel for everything. One of the first baits, actually, when I went up there, we were fishing some rocky banks. I picked up a shaky head with a 4-inch Senko, and that's actually the bait I fished with the whole tournament.
So a shaky head, you actually had that Texas rigged on a. You actually had a Senko Texas rig on a shaky head.
Yep.
What a different visual from where you're from to where you went, right?
Oh, it's not even comparable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's night and day. It's totally opposite water.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's what a lot of places you can relate to other things. Down here,
It's
there
hard.
is nothing else like it.
Right. That's why I'm floored with all this water that I'm looking at and talking to you about it. You know, I've traveled all over and fished in a lot of places, and I can relate. Oh, I'll do this at home because of the rocky banks with the tree lay down on it. That's not what you have.
No.
I'd be lost.
Yeah. There's not many places like it.
There are no rocks down here. There are no. The Cajun Baby said, this is the hardest, that the spillway is the hardest place he's been to catch fish. And Cliff Crochet grew up right over there in Pierre Part, which is about 10 miles away from Doyeron's Landing. You can get there by boat from Doyeron's Landing to where Cliff Crochet lives.
Wow.
And he's born and raised there, just like Hunter. They're just.
That's amazing. You fish hard, you know. I see your trophies. I know you're fishing hard. If you're winning those down there in all that water, man, you might. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because like y'all saying, there's so much that looks the same, and you'll fish every spot that you look at that looks good and should hold fish, and it doesn't.
If you fish every spot that looks good down here, you'll never get more than 10% of it fished. I don't know, man. I just go along with these guys and just, why are we fishing here? Well, look,
Yeah,
it looks like everything else. It's frustrating, Brad. It's really that's why I like to go up to Faraday, because things are different up there. You can target docks, you can target grass beds, you can target drop offs, you can, or you can go into trees, So much more to do. So much more to do.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions, Brad?
No, I'm just shocked about how you don't get lost in a bass boat. Thank goodness for GPS. I mean,
GPS.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of this. There's bushes in the water. There's trees in the water. I'm like, and I scan and I'll go down obviously a straight canal that they dug for a reason, and there's 6 ponds off of it that flow into it that are covered with grass. There's so many places to fish. It's just really amazing.
Most of those ponds are probably gated off, though.
From
That's
the water,
another thing
really.
that goes on in the spillway.
Huh.
Because you can actually own water in Louisiana, and I don't want to get into that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hunter, high five to you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Well, do you have any shout outs you want to do, Hunter?
I mean, definitely to all my sponsors. I mean, I couldn't be fishing all these tournaments without them, especially my biggest sponsor, Gator Tail Outboards. I work there, and they understand what I'm trying to accomplish, and they will 100% support it. Then
good for you. Good for
Cajun
you.
Lures, LZ Rods. I mean, there's
Cajun Lures, Zach Dubois. What a class act he is, man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the list goes on. I'm thankful for all the support I have.
Who makes your spinner baits?
Cajun Boss.
Cajun Boss.
Yes, sir.
Cajun Boss.
Yep, another local company around here.
I like the little guys.
Yes, well, that's what we like here on. We like the smaller companies.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Jay knows a good bait company there in Louisiana, Rougarou Baits or something. I'm not sure.
Rougarou, also Shongaloo Outdoors, another small.
That's what it is.
There's another one called Rougarou too.
Yep. Oh, I didn't know that. I meant the Shongaloo baits.
Yes, Shongaloo.
We've had them on. We saw them there. Man, that's some good looking baits. Hunter, we'll bring you back and we'll let you go over all your sponsors and show baits of them. Okay.
Oh, sounds good.
Well, every once in a while, I'm going to catch up with Hunter. I'm going to, follow his career as he progresses. I got to see him in high school. Now I'm get to see him now. It's just, an Ian Newton.
Yeah.
Ian Newton. He just came on and said, "What up, Pop?" So, anyways, thank you.
Comments and asking Hunter questions. Thanks for coming on.
Yep. Thank you for posting, Ian, and thank you for coming on, Hunter. And I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in to the Bassin Magazine podcast. Bassin Magazine, guys. Bassin Magazine is the official magazine of the Weekend Angler, which is unfortunately what I've been for my entire life.
Okay.
Weekend Anglers Unite, guys.
Yep.
And I'd like
have a good night. Thank you. Hunter, stick around.
Absolutely.
Stick around, Hunter. Thank you everybody for content. And Lane Guidry just subscribed to my channel.
Good deal.